Hey, how you guys doing? So this is Neil, and I have another giveaway for you guys. So I'm actually getting them today. Amazon told me on my phone that they're arriving today, so they'll be here in hours. And it's two of the Gameon 1560 PD screen drawing tablets. So it's like a Cintiq from Wacom, one of the two. Anyway, that's what I use, is the Wacom 13 Touch. I really like the touch aspect of it. It's really cool. I wish more software supported it. Anyway, so the Gameon is not obviously touch, but it has a lot of buttons, so you can, program it. Like when I'm using TV Paint, for example, with Cintiq, I have two buttons programmed, or I think maybe one, I can't remember, to where I push that and I click the button on my pen, or not push the button on my pen, and that allows me to pan and then to zoom in and out. And also I do the same thing for PaintStorm. It just makes it much easier to zoom in and out and pan around. I wish both programs worked the same, but they work differently, and sometimes it tricks my brain up. Anyway, so I'll be giving those away. So how do you enter to win? And I didn't want to just make a video about a giveaway, because this channel is about how to draw and how to paint. So stay tuned, and we're going to learn how to draw or paint something. I didn't think this through, so I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. Probably going to be a Bob Ross painting. On with the show. So I put a lot of thought into this, and that's why I didn't make the video right away, because I was thinking, how can I choose a winner? And that was the hard part. So I don't want to feel the pressure of having to actually choose two winners from a contest or something like that. That's a lot of pressure to me. And I'll be like, well, I want like all these people to win. I can't choose between, let's say I narrow it down to 10 people. I won't be able to choose 2 out of those 10. It's just too much stress, too much, I mean, not stress, but it's just, I'll feel bad. I don't want to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you guys short sentence and or paragraph, but keep it short. I don't want a whole big story, background story, just why you need this screen drawing tablet. Because I want it to go to someone that actually needs it. If you already have a screen drawing tablet, please don't even enter this contest. Please let somebody else that really needs it enter it, because this is for people that really need it. I'll be doing more giveaways too in the future. So if you want to go ahead and follow me here on Facebook, that's probably the best way to stay in touch with me, because YouTube and stuff just doesn't seem to give people updates. And I'm subscribed to people, and I hit the bell notification on certain channels, and sometimes I don't get a notification when they put out a new video. So YouTube sucks for that. I was thinking, well, I could have you sign up to my newsletter, and then you can just always just unsubscribe after you. Basically, you need to either subscribe to my Facebook or subscribe to my newsletter. To do that, it's very simple. When you go to my website, masterpaintingnow.com, just click on the newsletter, and that's all you have to do, and then put your email in and you're done. Then you can unsubscribe after. But make sure that you look in your spam folder right away, because they'll send you a confirmation email right away. You need to confirm that to get other emails from me. That way, you'll get the next email from me, which will be the update on who the winners are. This is super important. The reason why I'm stressing this part right now is because so many times I've done giveaways, and I had to go all the way down the line to like the 6th place possible winner, because all the other people never responded to me, because they probably didn't get a notification through YouTube. And yeah, so newsletter is pretty reliable, as long as you make sure that once you sign up to the newsletter that you get a greeting email. And with that greeting email, you actually get my free critter brushes and also my PaintStorm brushes, which are fantastic for painting like Bob Ross. Just absolutely fantastic. There's no other program like it on the market that can paint like Bob Ross. It's almost as if they built it to paint like Bob Ross digitally. It's just phenomenally awesome. And I also show how to paint like Bob Ross with my brushes on my YouTube channel. Yeah. So anyway, you'll get those for free once you sign up. And that's how you'll know, because you'll get an email, and in that email, you have to agree to, yeah, I subscribe, whatever, because they want your permission. And I hardly ever send out newsletters, so don't worry. I'm very lazy. I don't use it for marketing, all that kind of stuff. When I have free stuff that I think is worthy to send out, I'll send it out. Say, hey, here's a new tutorial, and it's very rare I ever do that. Anyway, so that's one way. And the other way is to follow me here on Facebook, so that way you can see when I post. Basically, you just need to be notified when I post the winners. You could do the YouTube thing, but honestly, I don't know if they'll even notify you. So I really want the winners to make sure they get their product. Right, so, all right, so here's how it's going to work. What I want you to do, like I said, is in the comment section here to this video on Facebook, I want you to leave one sentence, maybe a couple sentences at the top, of why you really need this tablet. Secondly, link to your portfolio. I'm going to base it on two things. Who I think really needs it, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of background checks. So I'm going to have to look into your Facebook and stuff, make sure that, you're not someone that's already drawing on a Cintiq or something. I just don't want it to go to someone that really doesn't need it, or to someone that's just going to go and try to sell it or something like that if they already have a tablet to draw on. That is a screen tablet. If you already have a tablet, that's fine. You can sell your tablet and use the screen draw, because it's a huge upgrade. Link to your portfolio, short sentence why you need it. I'm going to base it on those two things: what I feel the person, that how much I think you need it, and then your potential. So you don't have to be like an excellent artist. Don't worry about having this awesome portfolio. If you already have an awesome portfolio, it's less likely you need this as much, unless you really do, unless you I can see hey, you know what, this guy's really on his way to becoming something, but it would really make your art so much better and faster if you just had this draw on screen tablet. And I can see this person's probably never going to be able to get that, and they really need this. So, but it's not necessarily going to be that. Like, it can be someone that has I could see potential. Maybe their portfolio's but I see a lot of potential in how they're drawing and what they're drawing. And, so I'm not like the best artist in the world. I'm not going to claim that by any means, but I have worked in the industry for a long time. I know what good art looks like. I know what potential is. I can tell, hey, that person could be better than me. And as an art instructor, I have trained people to be better than me, and they've gone to get awesome jobs, and they're better than me now. They weren't when they started, but now they are, because I taught them the proper ways to learn how to draw right and learn how to make themselves better and better. The exercises that I still practice to this day to make myself better, to progress. And so all right, so that's it. I know that was a long way to do it. And hey, let's get on with the lesson here. If you like to, learn how to paint like Bob Ross, or you just want to see the process on PaintStorm, then let's get started. Let's check this out. It's going to be in real time. I do these paintings in under an hour usually. Sometimes they take an hour and a half. But yeah, they're really fun and easy to do, and anyone can do it. What's so awesome about the joy of painting is whether you're doing it digitally with how I do it, it's pretty much almost exactly like Bob Ross does on canvas. I translated the Bob Ross technique and style to digital. That's what I always try to do. I always try to take what I know traditionally and how to paint traditionally and take those same techniques and put it into digital. That's why I love Rebel 3 for watercolor, because it allowed me to use almost every single technique I use physically, traditionally with watercolors, and to use it on a program. It's absolutely amazing. And I have tutorials on that as well. So anyway, that's it. Hey, and by the way, my favorite group on Facebook, that's probably, maybe it might be another group I'll post this to, but mainly this is being posted to the digital artist group. So, all right, guys, everyone here is awesome. It's a great group. And I just want to, give back, because it's a fun group. And also it's like giving back to our community in general. And that's why it's awesome to be on my YouTube channel, because they're great people too, at least the ones that are still around. All right. So to announce the winners, what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to base on those two things. I'm going to look at the artwork, the portfolio, based on not the quality, but what I see as potential of being a great artist. Someone that I can see post regularly, someone I can see that is getting better. They're not just staying stagnant. They're not just drawing the same thing over and over again. Someone like that just doesn't have the drive to want to make it in the industry. I have to see that you're really exploring new things. You're trying new things. You're challenging yourself. You're not just drawing the same Japanese animation over and over again. I don't see any progression. I don't see the person getting better. I need to see you're challenging yourself. You're doing anatomy studies. You have a page full of hands, things like that. I can see that you're pushing yourself. You're trying to get better at everything, because you want to make an art industry. And to do that, to make it in the art industry, you have to try to master everything. The more you're good at, the more chances you are to get a job in the art industry. Even if you're just trying to get a job being an inker for a comic company and you're really good at inking, they want to see more. They also want to see you have a grasp of the fundamentals of drawing and things like that, because even though you might not be ever penciling for them, they need to know that you have the underlying foundation. So when you're inking, you're not going to lose the volume. You're not going to, inking is definitely more than just tracing. You got to really be able to read into what's there and understand the volumes and all that kind of stuff to pull that out with your line weight and things like that. So, all right. it's good. Just make sure landscapes, you know, backgrounds, whatever your weaknesses, work on those, because you want those to at least be decent. You want to show that you're a well-rounded artist. You're more likely to get a job. So that's what I'm looking for. And then I'm looking for the need. The need will be pretty easy to figure out. Then the potential and growth is going to take a little more research. Then I'm going to narrow all you guys down to just a few people. Who knows? Maybe it'll be like a lot of people. It depends on how many people enter. And I'll narrow it down to those that really, really think deserve it and need it. And then I can't pick from 2 from those. So then I'll do a random number generator. So that way I know it's going to someone that needs it. And I don't have to be the bad guy to choose the 2 people who the random number generator is. So, but I know, at least then I'll know it's going to 2 people. And if I just do a random generator for everyone that enters, you know, there might be someone that already has a tablet that's entering for who knows why. And that's just not cool for it to go to them because they don't need it. I want it to go to someone that really needs it and can hopefully change their life. That's what this is all about. All right. Thanks for watching. And on to Bob Ross style of painting in PaintStorm.
Hey, how you guys doing? So this is Neil from masterpaintnow.com bringing you another free art lesson. I'm one of the top art instructors on Udemy with over 30,000 happy students, all growing and learning. So grow with us. All right, let's get started.
All right, so real time Bob Ross style in PaintStorm. I'll talk you through the steps on how I did this one. I did this one in 39 minutes, so that's pretty fast. And that's you know, not quite as fast as Bob Ross, but you know, traditional is a little bit easier in some ways to be faster. First thing I do is I fill in the background with a dark saturated reddish color. Well, I guess technically it's very desaturated because, you know, there's a lot of black in it, and black is, you know, desaturated. As a matter of fact, it's pure black, has no saturation whatsoever. So, but I'm putting, what I mean is it's on the right side of the color square, meaning that there's the color that is in that black is a very saturated red, rather than, in other words, there's no white. So that does make a difference. If you move it over to the left, even if you keep it at the same level, it will change the color to be more muddy looking black. So anyway, so what I mean by a saturated black is it's toward the right hand side of the color square. As you can see there on the left hand side, you can see the color square there. And then I take kind of a reddish orange color, mostly red, and start off making the basically where the sun haze is going to be. And I'm pretty sure this is a sunrise. This is straight from one of Bob Ross's paintings. I just followed along and painted with him in real time, well, almost real time. I got behind a little bit, had to pause a couple times. I think I actually did one in real time. Like I actually followed along with Bob Ross in real time. I don't know if I recorded it or not. I'm not sure where it's at, but I actually did it in the 28 minutes, whatever he finishes in. It was pretty awesome. Really, really like nerve-wracking. That was not relaxing whatsoever. So yeah, I recommend not do that. So what I'm doing here, I'm just using one of the cloud brushes. I think here I'm using the cloud number 2 brush in my paint brushes set. To get my paint brushes, they're free. All you have to do is sign up to my newsletter at masterpaintingnow.com. The link is in the description as always. And all you have to do is just put your email in and you're signed up, and just make sure to check your spam folder because you should get an email right away, confirmation email, and in that email will be the links and instructions on how to get the brushes. I also have a set of Krita brushes, Bob Ross brushes for Krita. Just make sure when you install those that you install them as a bundle. As a bundle, it's very important, otherwise you won't have the ABR files and you won't have the proper textures and stuff. So now what I'm doing is I'm using my awesome blender. This is awesome. I love using this blender even for my regular paintings. It just works so well. It's so versatile. I can use it for so many different things. I use it to smooth out waterfalls, all kinds of stuff. And so here I'm using it to smooth out the clouds. So instead of using the sky brush, I decided to use the cloud brush and then the awesome blender brush to create this kind of, you know, transition haze of the sunset. And I thought it came out looking really good. So I like trying different things, and I like the way this came out. Now I'm using the number 3 cloud brush. By number 3 just means it's the third cloud brush there. And I noticed the icons also, I set them up to be like representing what they are. So these are little pictures of clouds. This is actually the cloud blender tool. And so I use this to smooth out my clouds and stuff. And here I'm using it to smooth out the cloud texture a little bit. so it's not such an abrupt change of color. Don't recommend doing this with something like an airbrush. It's not going to look like a painting. If you don't want to use this technique, you can always just use my sky brush there, right there next to the cloud brushes, and just lightly paint out the colors one to the other. The same way I blend a sky down from a darker blue to a lighter blue. And other Bob Ross paintings I did on the channel. So after I have the sunset, now I'm going through and adding the first set of bushes. Now when I do the bushes, I'm using a very dark color, but it's a little bit lighter. And notice it's also it's a saturated black. In other words, again, when I say that, I just mean that it's on the right-hand side of the color square there. Just make sure that I usually work, especially with Bob Ross style, I always stay on the right-hand side. I very rarely go over to the left-hand side. That is adding white into my colors. I do sometimes, especially for like certain things up close, trees and things like that. I don't like to use quite the saturation that he does sometimes. Anyway, so I use a slightly lighter black than the background, and that way the background is still really dark, but the bushes do stand out. You do want a base though for your bushes, so when you add the lighter colors of the bushes, it shows through. Now here I'm using a yellow that's going toward green. So this is basically Bob Ross going, all right, let's take a little bit of sap green, some yellow, maybe some yellow ochre. Let's smash that together and start dropping this down. Now I'm adding some red as well. And technically these colors wouldn't be so green anyway. Even the highlights wouldn't be green. Like when a sunrise or sunset color, a very orange light, hits a green bush, that bush is still not going to look green. It might have a little bit of green into it, but it's going to be mostly kind of like yellow orange where the highlights are, where the direct light is hitting it, not highlights. The highlights can be the same color as the light source pretty much, so highlights are different than direct light. So now I'm just going back and forth. This is using the 4th brush right now in my this is the bush brushes, and for my bush brushes I use the little icon of a leaf, and so this is the 4th bush brush. I really like this one. It's really good for like distant bushes and things like that, and I do little circles, so just lightly do little circle motions, and that's what I do. I feel like, once you've watched a few of these videos, then it's just, okay, well, what's the techniques he's using for this particular, painting? And because the techniques are pretty much the same over and over again. Bushes are always done pretty much the same way. That is, you just want to do little circles and move in the direction of the bush, and use very, varying pressure, sometimes harder, sometimes lighter, depending on how much texture you want to come through and a little bit of blending you want to happen. And this is where I could have done like if I were to paint this again, now that I learned already like what I was doing, if I painted this again, I could do it much faster, because I would do these bushes in literally 2 takes. I would put down the dark color, or 3 takes, really quickly, smash in the dark color, and then I'd come back over that with kind of a reddish orange color here and there to leave some of that dark underneath. And then I would finally hit the tops here and there with this kind of like greenish yellow color. And that's only if I wanted to stay like how Bob Ross painted it, which gives a surreal feeling to the painting, because that color wouldn't be a natural color that you would see if this were a real setting. But that's what's so cool about painting for imagination. And even if you're painting from reference, you don't have to follow the colors you're looking at. I never follow the colors I'm looking at. If I paint from reference, I always make up my own colors. In fact, I usually turn a photo into black and white, so I'm not influenced by the colors. That way I'm thinking about the colors that I want to fit in my composition, thinking about color theory. Alright, so now I'm using the tree brush, and this is the horizontal tree brush, so it makes it really easy just to pull straight down strokes. If you use the 3rd one from the bottom, then that one, you can like angle it according to your pen. It has 10 pilt on it. to do this kind of stuff, I prefer using one of the ones I don't have pen tilt enabled. You can always just go to the settings of the pen tilt and turn the pen tilt off too. And now I'm using the vertical one, and I just very light strokes here. You don't want to totally destroy what you already have created, which is the illusion of well, the downstrokes is playing the illusion of the reflections in the water. You don't want to completely destroy that, so you want to leave some of that underneath it. You can also try hitting it with the awesome blur tool or awesome blender brush. Just very lightly touch that back and forth in a horizontal way, and that kind of gives you an interesting look too. You just don't want to destroy those strokes that you made. I'm making now the sun, so I'm like, I want that sun color to kind of be reflecting in the water. Now remember, water takes on the color of the sky, and mostly it's the color of the sky, but it also takes on the colors of what it's mirroring, what it's reflecting, so what's being reflected into it. And the colors of what's being reflected into it is being affected by what? The sky, all the color around it, the sun and the sky. So in this case, if the sky is very orange and yellow, then everything is going to kind of have that darker. Everything is going to be dark still. It's not going to be like it's daytime. It's not going to be like it's nighttime either, but it's going to be very low lighting, very warm lighting. So everything's going to have a different color to it. Everything's going to be shifted towards warm colors. And so that's the colors that are going to be reflected into the water. I'm just adding a few other little darks now, because I want those darks also to be represented in my, I guess, the mirror or the reflections. I also wanted some of that green, the tops of the bushes, to be reflected in there. And Bob Ross typically just pulls down the bottom colors and then swipes it across, because he has to work very quickly. I usually take a little bit more time with my water reflections, because I do want them to look better. It's something I know he would do if he wasn't pressed for time. And sometimes he does. Sometimes he'll go back in there with the second layer and dab in some bush colors and just kind of smush it with his 2-inch brush and with the corner of the 2-inch brush. And basically the same way he makes bushes, he'll make bushes in the water, and then he'll just take his brush and lightly fan back and forth to blend it in a little bit, but not destroy it completely. And that will make it look like the bushes are being reflected. I think right now I'm actually thinking about what I want to do next, I imagine. Yeah, I think I was just thinking about, okay, what brushes am I going to use next, and yeah. Oh, that's right. So I like to use the vertical tree brush to start my trees. It's really good to pull down your tree trunks. And I like to put my tree trunks in first, so I know where my trees are going to go. And then I use the horizontal brush, and I just do this kind of seesaw motion back and forth. I teach how to do this in other videos step by step. And also, if you look at my long video, it's like a 2-hour long video, or just search my channel, hit the little search icon. So go to my channel's homepage, and then on the right hand side by about, hit the search icon. Looks like a magnifying glass, and that allows you just to search my channel only, and type in the word Bob Ross, or how to use Bob Ross brush or something like that. And I have a lesson that shows step by step how to make trees and everything, like basically how to use all the brushes for what they're intended for, waterfalls, and how to actually do the brush strokes themselves. I think that's really important to know. But it's basically a light seesaw motion, and by seesaw I mean like making S's as you go downward. It's like little S shapes with the brush back and forth. So I'm kind of pushing down in a slight curved S shape, and then coming back and pushing down, pushing down. I think I show it in this video in a second with a different color. Yeah, like this. So back and forth like this, and notice it kind of makes that seesaw motion. I'm not scribbling. I'm only stroking on when I'm coming back down. So I'm not just scribbling back and forth. I'm stroking down like that. There you go. Now I'm showing more slow motion, so you can kind of see the stroke that I'm making. And that's what I do there in the background to make the trees. And it takes some practice, just like anything, Bob Ross traditionally is easy to learn how to do. Anyone can learn how to do. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to, know all this, awesome things and go to school and all. You can actually learn to paint like Bob Ross. It's just all about learning the techniques, and then you just follow along with him. And after a while, when you start learning a bit more and get a better feeling for composition and color theory and things like that, you'll start to be able to put together your own landscapes from imagination using his techniques, and it's really fun. That's why I paint. I paint for the joy of painting. I don't paint for money. I mean, I guess the only time I paint for money is when I'm making a new course. And so, but in that case, I'm painting to demonstrate how to do something. I mean, yeah, I'm getting paid for people that sign up for the course, but I'm not doing like a painting for money. I don't do that. I've done that. I've worked in the industry for many years, and so now when I paint, it's just all about having fun, which is great. That's what owning two businesses has done for me. It allows me to just have that freedom to not have to worry about struggling as an artist, not have to worry about like who's my next client going to be, and having to deal with painting stuff I don't want to paint or drawing stuff I don't want to draw. I mean, it was still fun. Don't get me wrong. Art job is a fun job to have, but any job eventually starts to feel like work. But it's the best kind of work you can do. But yeah, sometimes just dealing with certain clients and things like that got a little bit old. They want something a certain way, and then you're like, I'm telling you that's not the way it should be, because I only studied this. I only studied these principles for years. I know what makes something look good, and what you want doesn't look good. But hey, if you can't convince them, you just got to do what they want, And sometimes I would refuse to do it. I'd be like, sorry, I just can't in my right mind do this design you want, because I know that it's not going to look good. Unless, of course, my name is not associated with them. I'm like, okay, I just don't want my name associated with this then. And that seems like rude, and I'll probably never get a job from that person again, but I don't want to work for that person ever again anyway, because they were so difficult to work with. They're just so stubborn, and it's like, yeah, I know you have a vision, you have an idea, and that's cool, but not everyone has good ideas when it comes to design. And anyway, sorry, kind of going off on a rant there, but it was just, yeah. But ultimately, you do what people want. I just don't want my name associated with it if I don't like it. Like if I think that, hey, that's not a very good design. I mean, it's good as in the quality of drawing and stuff, but their idea wasn't good, and they wouldn't let me fix that idea to make it better, to make it something that would, I think, design-wise is good. Then I don't want my name associated with that piece of artwork, And a lot of times too, when you work in the art industry, your art is not yours. Oftentimes, especially if you're working for a company, the company owns your work, and they can use it however they want. They can use your work in commercials or whatever. You don't own it. The company owns it, and if they don't own it, then the client owns it. If the client buys the digital rights, then you don't own it at all. You can't even put it in your portfolio without the client's permission. But it's fine, because that's what you're not doing it for your own personal. It's their work, It's their vision that you're bringing to life. So you got to learn to detach from that and just let it go. So what I'm doing here now is I felt like a lot of what I was doing is just the same repetitive stuff, so there's no reason to explain it over and over again. So I thought I'd talk about something else. I laid down the foundation of the trees, and I noticed I still use a dark color. And now I'm going to put in some tree branches. And that dark color is the same way I did the bushes in the background. I just did it in the foreground. I just increased the brush size, and it's still little circle motions and kind of dabbed circle motions to make sure you can kind of see through some of it. And then just using a very thin brush here to lay in the sticks, adding just a little bit of highlights on them. Keep in mind the direction of the light. In this case, the direction of the light is directly in the center of the painting pretty much, and it's coming out from that sun, so that's pretty much highlighting everything. Although when Bob Ross paints, he wants the foreground to be seen. In reality, this foreground would be very dark and stay dark like this. Like you wouldn't have a bunch of colors and stuff like that in the foreground. What it ends up looking like is as if there's another light source coming from behind us, which is possible. It could be like a big, couple big lights behind us, like, street lamps. It could be a house with very bright, tall lights, and it could be all kinds of things, to have the floodlights in their property or something. So you're allowed to do that. It's not, the person that viewing it is hopefully convinced enough by it, or can figure out that, hey, okay, there must be another light source coming, because there's no way you'd get like this bright bush right here, because look at all the bushes blocking the sun from it. It's not even in the angle of the sun when it hit this bush at all. So you would never get this kind of lighting, unless again there was a lighting behind us. But that lighting behind us wouldn't affect the, it might actually be reflected on the water, but at least the water that's closest to us a little bit. But it wouldn't affect the bushes and trees and stuff way in the background. But those are lit up anyways incorrectly. And but again, that was Bob Ross's style. He really liked color, and I think he understood color theory. He just broke the rules on purpose because he wanted something that looked pretty with a lot of colors and surreal looking, I think. And he liked that. He liked the way it looked, and it looks cool. So you don't always have to make everything follow reality. You can break reality. And besides, there can always be a reason why it looks like that. I can say behind every hill there is a spotlight, that is revealing the real colors of the bushes, but only as a rim light, because it's the way it's angled to the bushes. And then on this side, the bushes are dark because that light doesn't reach over each bush, each little kind of heel of bushes. So we can make up reasons why it looks the way it does, logical reasons. So with these bushes here, I'm using I really like this number 4 that I created. Now, if this isn't, I think my brushes should be updated now. That is, it should have 4 leaves icons. That is 4 brushes now. If you only have 3, then you're using my old brush pack, and all you have to do is update it. Just if you can't figure out how to do that, then just basically sign up again. It's not going to double sign you up. You're not going to get double emails. Literally just go to my website and re-sign back up to a newsletter, and that will give you another welcome message. And then just make sure to accept that welcome message again. It just re-signs you up again. If you're already signed up, it's not going to do nothing. It's just you're going to keep getting. Just make sure if you do that though to respond to that email, and that email is going to have the links to the brushes, and that just re-download the brushes, and they'll be the newest brushes. I think I pretty much got it nailed down now with Bob Ross brushes. I'm still experimenting with certain things here and there, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure they probably won't change for a while now. So if you download them now, they're probably going to stay good like that. And really all it was is I just took one of my previous bush brushes and I just modified it by using a different brush tip and changed some of the properties a little bit. And I really like this one. It came out really nice. I can't remember everything I did to it, so I couldn't tell you how to recreate it. And I couldn't even recreate it myself, I don't think, because I can't remember what I did. But what I did do came out really nice. I really like it a lot. It's one of my favorite ones to use. I found these other brush sets in Photoshop that are really cool for doing certain types of Bob Ross type bushes, and they leave a lot more space and stuff. I'm trying to see if I can convert them over to PaintStorm. Basically just take the brush tip and then try to recreate the way it works in Photoshop, because PaintStorm has a lot of the same parameters that Photoshop does for brush creation, and try to recreate those parameters and see if I can't get it to work similarly. Now there's a completely different paint engine here, but I can turn off a lot of the things obviously I don't want no color pulling through or anything like that. It's got to be very brisk and hard, so it doesn't lift up paint underneath. That way you get a nice crisp, basically like how when Bob Ross taps his thing. So it kind of really, you just tap the screen just like Bob Ross taps the screen. So it not only does it simulate the stroke style that Bob Ross is doing, because when I do bushes, I don't do the way he does it on this program. I have to do little circles. I can't just dab the screen because these brushes don't work that way. So that technique is a little bit different, but you get a very similar result. With this brush that I've been messing around with in Photoshop and tweaking, you actually just dab like you would with the brush. You just kind of push into your canvas and it leaves the proper kind of smush strokes that you want. And it's pretty cool. It has a lot of color dynamic changes. And this program actually has a really good, basically same as Photoshop, where really awesome color dynamics. You can change it really fast. And those color dynamics allows it to, where each time you smash it, you get slightly different colors, and it works really good. Anyway, so I think I'm going to try to convert that over because I don't want to have to go back and forth. But you can see this brush right here kind of does something similar. if you just kind of tap it around. What I do with this brush right here, this is the top brush. So this is the first in the list of bush brushes with the leaf icon. And with this brush, I kind of tap and do little circles at the same. I kind of like just barely like tap and circle, tap and circle, tap and circle. You can also just click a bunch of times with the mouse, and that gives you a more like kind of like that Bob Ross look. This one has more detail though. It's not as abstract. It looks really nice though. Like it looks like you spent a lot of time to paint in you know, some leaves and stuff. Looks really cool. But yeah, mixing these brushes. So I'm paying attention to the light source here. Something that Bob Ross usually doesn't do too much of. But with that tree in the background, I wanted to make sure that the right side was brighter than the left side. And he does do that for the most part. And now I'm going to go ahead and start laying in the dirt trail. And whenever I do a Bob Ross painting, I always think about, okay, how can I add people to this, or at least a person? What can people or a person be doing in this scene? Because I don't know. I think a landscape by itself, they're nice, but I like people. It tells a better story. And so I end up adding a hiker coming from the left-hand side. And I'll show that. I'll probably show that in the beginning, actually. I should show that in the beginning. But yeah, it shows the hiker kind of coming down, and shows his light flashing, and therefore I changed some of the lighting for that front scene. I don't show how to paint that here. That's just something I add later. Because that's not Bob Ross style. It's Bob Ross wasn't good at painting people, by his own admission, by the way. So, you know, one thing Bob Ross really, like, he uses a dirty brush. He rarely ever cleans his brush that he's doing bushes and stuff with, like his 2-inch brush or 1-inch brush. Whatever. He usually uses a 2-inch brush, but I think when he started he used a 1-inch brush more, but toward latter seasons he really started doing almost everything with his 2-inch brush. And he'll just, like, you know, kind of just smear some more paint back in it. That's kind of how he cleans it. But it's still a dirty brush. That means that it still has some of the other colors that he was using previously, which is nice, because if they're colors that work well together, then it all works out. And so he'll, you know, let's say he lays down some of this kind of orange color, and he'll just go and just dab a bunch of yellow and stuff into it. If he's going to go into like green after orange, then he might, because those are kind of, you know, counter each other out, give you more of a gray color, then he might, you know, clean his brush a little, at least wipe it off and then pick up that color. But still a dirty brush. It's still, in other words, when he has multiple colors on his brush when he's smashing in bushes, and so he gets multiple, not multiple strokes because it's just one smash, but within that one smash he gets multiple colors of that abstract shape that makes the bush leaves and stuff. And you can't do that with any program that I know of. That'd be a really cool thing. I actually asked if they would be able to program something like that for this, because this program should be sold as a Bob Ross, you know, program. Really should. They should actually talk with the Bob Ross Foundation and see if they can't make another version of this program called the Bob Ross, you know, painting experience or something, using my brushes and this software, and just making a couple tweaks to it. Man, they can really make this an awesome. It's already awesome for doing Bob Ross, but they can really make it even better. And one of the things I was thinking they can do is make it to where you can multi-load your brush. And I don't think it'd be that hard to do, to program. Just make another parameter, program another parameter to where you can dip like your brush into different colors, and it'll have those different colors. You know, you'll click a little icon that says multicolored brush, and then you just click it, and then it'll have those different colors on whatever side of the brush you click it on. And there's different ways they can do that. I think the most intuitive way would be use the mixing panel and just dip your brush left and right, you know, because you know you can use the tilt of the brush. Another way to do that would just be to have a little picture of the brush tip, and then you just like drag and drop colors onto the different parts of the brush. So you can drag it on the left side of the brush, right side of the brush. You know, now you have those different colors. And let's say you want just one color on the right side, one color on the left side of the brush. With the brush tilt, you can like instantly paint rocks like Bob Ross does, for example. Nonetheless, it doesn't do that right now. So in order to simulate that, you want to go back and forth between a lot of colors. Another thing you can do that I do is I set my bushes, and I think my bushes already have color dynamics, but if you want even a wider range of color dynamics, you can adjust the color dynamics of the brush. So go into the color and take like the hue and just turn it up to like 15 or 16, and that's going to give you a wide range every time. And make sure it's set to I don't have to explain how to do all this, but make sure it's set to every time you put a brush stroke, it changes the color slightly. You don't want to make it to where it makes multicolored, but you can mess around. There's two different settings for it, for color dynamics. One is where it basically make a stroke and it like gives a bunch of different color variations within that stroke. Another one is each stroke you make is a slightly different variation. That's what I like to do. But you can mess around with both of them, and that'll give you a huge color dynamic. Then also I'm just like, I slightly change colors anyway. So I'll like throw down a little bit of like a yellowish orange, and then a little bit more of a reddish orange, and then let's say a little bit more of a yellowish, just straight yellow, or even a yellow green. And that's what gives a really surreal look. Like right here, these bushes give a really surreal look because this is not realistic. You wouldn't have an orange darker base of a bush and then have where the direct light's hitting it make it almost look like a green. It's like a yellow green, really bright, and that just wouldn't happen. I don't know how you can ever get that in a bush unless you're using different colored lights. But with any sort of natural lighting, that's never going to happen. But it looks really cool. So, oh yeah, and by the way, the brush I use for the mud and stuff is the same brush I use to make mountains. So the textured knife brush, basically. You can use it for all sorts of things. I mean, you could do an entire painting with it. I actually recently did an entire painting with just that one brush. Used nothing but that brush. And it came out really cool. Very, very neat looking. It's a lot of kind of rocky scene. It was really interesting. Now this isn't pure black. So I never use pure black in a painting. It's very, I can't say never, never, but pretty much never. There's a little bit of color there. If you look on that color square, it might be hard to see, but it's not all the way to the right hand corner. It's up a little bit and to the left. And even if I have it all the way to the very edge, I'll still lift it up a little bit so it has a little bit of color to it. To the naked eye, it might look like pure black, but it's not. And this is really good for if you want to go back and mix colors on top of it or whatever, because this program does mix color. You can set your brushes to mix colors from the colors underneath, which works more like oil. And it kind of picks up some of that color and mixes in with the color that you're painting. And if you have pure black, it's going to neutralize it. But if you have a colored black, it will still neutralize it depending on if you're painting with blue and the color of your black is a warm black, then yeah, it's going to neutralize your blue. So you got to kind of pay attention to what colors you're using. And I think we're getting close to being done with this one here. I definitely want to add some. Here I'm adding a rock because Bob Ross did, so I'm like, okay, that's kind of a good idea. I'll add the rock. Also, there's things in the background. I can't remember if I change it in this video or not, but I do end up changing it in the final piece. I don't like how the trees are just sitting there. There should be some grass or something in front of them. So I just go back in with my one of my bush brushes and turn on small and just like dab it around. Just take that color that's already right there in the mountain, the kind of orangish color, and then just kind of dab it around the bottom parts of the trees so it kind of looks like the trees are setting inside of something, inside of the grass bushes, instead of just floating there or sitting on top of it. It just doesn't look right. It's so cool how fast, look how fast you can do rocks with that brush. I mean, it looks like I spent so much time painting that rock. And if I were to sit there and try to paint that detail by detail, that would take so long. But using this brush and the right techniques with it, you just hit the dark side, hit the light side, and just make sure you're following the lighting of a rock. And that does take a little bit of study. If you want your rocks to look like rocks, you got to kind of just study the formation of rocks and what kind of rock you're painting. And then add a little bit of the shadow onto the left side of the rock, the opposite side, or whatever side's opposite of your light source. And then bam, you got a rock. And make sure to leave some of that darks in there. So that's sort of where the cracks of the rock are. Now I'm just going back through adding a few sticks here and there, little branches and stuff. Just it really does set the painting, makes it look more detailed and kind of brings us out to the foreground more. And also it's good to add some lighter colored sticks as well. I'm pretty sure I do that here. And the lighter colored sticks save for putting in the darker areas, otherwise you won't be able to see them. So the darker sticks, I'm kind of putting them in the lighter areas, and then the lighter sticks I'll put more in the darker areas. I really like how I left that really dark between those trees right there, that really darkness that matches like the sky in the background, at least the darkness of the sky. And this is another thing that was very surreal about this painting is if you have a sunrise or sunset where this much of the sun is showing, you're never going to have it just have the red orange fade right into black. It doesn't happen. It's going to fade into maybe a pink and then a slight bluish color, purplish blue, and then dark blue and then black. That's the way it works. Look at any sunset. Unless of course you set your camera settings to a certain setting to where it crushes all the darks, and then you might get something similar to that. But with the naked eye, you're never going to see anything like that. But it makes it have this kind of surreal look to it. And I like that. It's cool. Bob Ross knew that he didn't want to just paint reality. And he's painting from his imagination, and so it's sometimes, of course, maybe he didn't know that. Maybe he didn't know a whole lot about color theory and stuff, and he just like, I think he did though, because there are other paintings where he does show that he understands how it should look and paints it more colors the way it should look. But most of the time he does this more surreal thing. Anyway, so basically what I'm imagining is there's a bunch of trees on that left hand side of the screen. There's a bunch of trees and bushes behind those trees going back into the distance before it hits the water. And that is why it's so dark in there, because there's no light. The light from the sun can't reach in there, and the light from this side, the camera side, can't reach into those trees. And so it's just really dark behind there. It makes you wonder what's hiding in the darkness. Here you go. So now I'm adding some of these lighter color branches. And notice I still use my my texture knife brush. The same thing I did the mud with, the rock with, the same thing I do mountains with. It's a very versatile brush. And notice it kind of adds that edgy, like when he just takes his knife and scrapes into his painting, sometimes it has that kind of look to it where it's not just a nice smooth line. You could do nice smooth lines if you want to. I just feel these textured lines, they look cooler. They just, to me, they look better. They look like, it's like even when you have a light branch, there's still dark parts of that branch where the light's not hitting it, or there's just darker colors on it, and so it kind of lends that look to it where there's like darker bark and lighter bark, mixed together on the twig. But if you don't want that look, just use a smoother brush. I decided I didn't like how the background looked. I thought it looked a little bit too surreal. The way it just went so quickly to black, or not quite black, but it looks almost like black. And so I'm using my my cloud brush and then my blender cloud brush to kind of blend it out more into the blackness. Although that's not the proper color that would actually blend into the sky, I just didn't want it to be such an abrupt change. So I still wanted that surreal look. I just didn't want it to be so abrupt. And I'm just looking for little things I can noodle on. And so the water to me just looks a little too muddy. And so I kind of want to just bring it and make it look a little more glossy. And so I'm using my water brush, I think. Is that brush I'm using right now? Yeah, I think I'm using the second water brush. And I'm just taking some of the color from the sky and just lightly stroking it on there. Now, an easier way to do this is I could have used the orange color first, like laid down the orange color first, and then came back within that and used the yellow color inside of that. But instead I did it the opposite way. I added the yellow first, and then on the edges added the darker oranger color. And I think now I want to add some of those tree reflections into the water. So it's like a dark reflection. So basically I just work on the water to make it look more like water. You can leave it just very simple like Bob Ross does if you want to do like a really fast painting. And that's why I know I can do this painting in and 20. I know this one right here. If I redid this one, I know I can get it down to 28 minutes. You know, I can literally follow along with Bob Ross and paint it in the same time frame as him. Some things I would actually do faster than he does, and other things I would do slower, so I wouldn't be able to like follow along exactly. But I already know how I do the painting, so I don't have to like sit there and like watch him and do it step by step. I just, you know, just bust it out. But yeah, I'm positive I can do this one in under 30 minutes. But it wouldn't look as refined. It would look more like Bob Ross's and pieces on the show, because you don't have time to go in and noodle like I'm doing now. You have to just pull down the color, you know, swipe it left and right, finish everything. Then if you still have time, then you can go back and say, hey, let's add a little more detail to the water, or you know, whatever you want to add some details to. So notice I did do it in this painting. Notice I took that the bush brush, and now the trees look like they're setting inside the bushes rather than just floating there on top of them. I could have also went in to the very, very edges of the trees and added a little bit of that like orange glow around just the very edges of the trees to look like they're being backlit and the light's coming through those edges of the leaves. But honestly, they're so far away you wouldn't really notice it anyway. But those are little touches you could add. You can add to it. And that's pretty much it. You know, I add a little bit of water lines. There's different brushes you can use for that. You can use the horizontal pine tree bush, the same thing we made the trees in the background with. You can use the water brush, which is all the way at the bottom. All kinds of things you can do. All right, so my name is signed. Everything's done. I just did a quick birds there in the background. And that's it. Going and saving it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Go ahead and share this on your favorite social media. I'm sure if you enjoyed it, other people enjoyed it as well and learned something from it. You never know who might want to get into this kind of painting, because literally anyone can do it. All right, thanks. Until next time, enjoy painting.